Ken Shamrock was once feared. Not just respected, feared. In the early days of MMA, he was the man people didn't want to face. Aggressive, explosive, intense. He wasn't just a fighter, he was a storm in human form. But now, something's changed. People who watch him today don't see that same fire. Instead, they see hesitation. He stutters, loses his train of thought, forgets what he was saying, his voice sounds off, his eyes look distant, and fans are starting to worry. This is the painful truth about a legend who might be paying the price for everything he gave us. Ken's journey began in the early 1990s. Born in 1964, he first made a name in professional wrestling, then rose to stardom in Pancrase, where he became the first ever King of Pancrase heavyweight champion. He wasn't just winning, he was dominating, using leg locks and chokes like weapons. He brought something different, something dangerous. Then came UFC. In 1993, at the very first UFC event, Ken was there, and a fighter who blended catch wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and pressure. He wasn't just brawling like others, he was strategic, intense, and surgical. He beat names like Remco Pardoel and had legendary battles with Royce Gracie. His rivalries with Dan Severn, Tito Ortiz, and Tank Abbott turned him into a star beyond the cage. He didn't just fight, he built an identity. The world's most dangerous man. That wasn't just a nickname, it was who he was. He fought bare knuckle, he jumped between promotions, he went to Japan and headlined massive events. And through it all, he trained like a machine. Even through injuries, torn ligaments, busted joints, Ken just kept going. Between 1993 and 2000, Ken wasn't just a fighter, he was the fighter. Hardcore fans loved his authenticity. Casual fans loved his intensity. But beneath all of that, damage was building, and no one really saw it. Behind the scenes, every fight meant more wear. His knees, his joints, his brain, they were breaking down. But on screen, he still looked invincible. Ken never stuck to one style or promotion. He jumped from WWE to MMA to bare-knuckle boxing, even into his 50s. Sure, it brought money, but it brought pain too. He once admitted that spotting a concussion wasn't easy. I'd hit the cage hard, shake it off. That was the mindset back then. If you could stand, you kept fighting. Pain meant you were tough. But those hits, they piled up. Looking back, he regrets it. All those fights, all those hits, he now admits he didn't think about the long-term risks. By his late 40s, his body had taken a beating. Fans noticed his joints were swollen, he walked slower, his reflexes were off. And during interviews, he started forgetting things. Opponent names, fight dates, basic memories. He would mix up timelines, tell stories wrong. A fan said it best. When Ken starts getting his own stories wrong more than once, it stops being cool. It's just sad. That was the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with concern. In recent interviews, Ken seemed lost. In one segment promoting a health project, he froze, blinked, forgot the question, never recovered. Fans who watched him since UFC 1 were heartbroken. "This isn't acting," someone wrote. "This is real. He's confused." Clips started circulating online. Not for laughs, but as a warning. Titles like "Ken Shamrock doesn't know what he's saying" weren't meant to mock. They came from pain. One fan wrote, "I watched Ken dominate UFC 5. It hurts to see him like this. If he can't remember his own project's name, what else has he lost?" Doctors started taking notice. Though Ken never confirmed he took cognitive tests, many experts said what fans were seeing, the speech slips, the memory loss, all pointed to brain damage. One neurologist put it simply, "You don't need an MRI. Look at his eyes. The damage is there." Still, Ken kept pushing. He promoted his bare-knuckle events under Valor Fighting League. He smiled for brochures, said things like, "I don't feel my age." To many, it felt like denial. This wasn't a victory lap. This wasn't a celebration. It was a man clinging to a version of himself that no longer existed. He claimed bare knuckle was safer than MMA. Less ground slams, fewer rounds, but his body told another story. He kept fighting, kept taking hits, and even when wearing gloves, he took damage. In one promo clip at age 58, Ken looked stiff. He paused between movements like he was shifting through pain. He even joked, "I'm more metal than bone now." But it wasn't funny. Videos showed Ken favoring one arm, slowing between rounds, grimacing in pain, yet he called the fights safer. Fans saw the contradiction. "How can you fear brain damage and still fight bare knuckle?" one asked. It didn't feel like bravery anymore. It felt like destruction. He kept posting from locker rooms, sharing training clips, wearing old gear. But his speech was slower. He paused more. One fan said, "He'll fight through anything, but maybe he shouldn't." To fans, these fights weren't legacy. They looked like surrender, a desperate attempt to stay relevant, to feel alive. Every punch seemed less about victory and more about survival. As things worsened, fans spoke up. Reddit threads like "Is Ken okay?" flooded with concern. He said he beat Royce at UFC 2, but he didn't. Fighters don't forget that. These weren't trolls, these were lifelong fans, worried ones. Polls showed over 60% wanted him to retire. YouTube filled with clips of his confused interviews. The tone wasn't mocking, it was mourning. One comment said it all. "He's always been the hero, but heroes need help too." Podcast echoed the worry. "Ken doesn't know how to stop," one fighter said. Another added, "He looks like he's trying to remember how to be himself." Fans launched petitions. "Stop booking him. We don't want to watch him break." MMA sites urged the same. Let Ken live, not fight. This wasn't pity, it was fear, because if no one steps in, this only gets worse. The man who once couldn't be stopped now needed saving. The hardest part about watching Ken Shamrock now isn't the limp. It isn't the slowed movements or the confused interviews, it's the denial. Despite all the signs, the memory lapses, the twitching hands, the quiet moments when he seems completely lost, Ken still insists he's fine. "I'm sharp," he says. "I still know my fights." But people who followed him for years see something different. His behavior doesn't match his words. He brushes off the forgetfulness as glitches. He says, "I'm not some old fighter looking back. I'm still in fight mode." And maybe that's the most painful part. He's clinging to the image, to the man he used to be, to the world's most dangerous man. That's who he was. That's who he still wants to be. But his body, his mind, they're telling a different story. Behind the cameras, things are worse. Family and close friends say he's easily overwhelmed now. Loud sounds make him flinch. He can't sleep. His mood changes quickly, and sometimes he seems like he doesn't even trust his own thoughts. One former training partner put it simply, "Ken's not scared of fighters anymore. He's scared of his brain." That trust in his body, in his instincts, was everything to him. It's what made him great. Now it's slipping away. In interviews, you see it. He pauses, blinks, tries to remember where he was going with a sentence, but still he says, "I'm fine." Still he goes out in his gear. Still he fights, but fans aren't fooled. This isn't resilience anymore. This is denial. It's a man trying to protect a legacy, even if it destroys him in the process, and the signs are getting harder to ignore. Footage from autograph events shows him holding onto a walker. He favors one side of his body. He stops mid-sentence to steady himself. One fan posted a video titled, "Ken shaking while signing autographs." Another commented, "His body looks 45, but his mind hasn't caught up." At Valor events, he's seen stretching his knees mid-show, limping, wearing braces, wincing during light workouts. Still, he waves to fans. Still, he smiles. Still, he gives the thumbs up. But when you look closer, it's hard to miss the pain. In one interview, the host dropped a paper to the floor. Ken didn't react until seconds later, not because he was being polite, because his brain didn't process it quickly enough. YouTubers noticed. Clips titled "Ken Shamrock Froze" spread quickly. At first, people joked, then they stopped, because it wasn't funny, it was a clear sign. His instincts, the ones that once made him lightning fast, are fading. Even simple things like handling a microphone now seem difficult. He fumbles with cords, he forgets where to hold it. Minor things. But for someone who used to be so sharp, so focused, it feels like watching a light flicker. Doctors say these are all signs of neurological decline, balance issues, tremors, slowed response. For someone with decades of head trauma, these symptoms are not a surprise. And for fans, it's becoming too much to watch. They're no longer seeing a legend shine. They're seeing a man break down, slowly, painfully, in real time. Ken built a name around being indestructible, the world's most dangerous man. His black trunks, catchphrases, and intensity were more than symbols. They were his identity. Now, those same things feel like armor hiding how much he's lost. His family seems worried. Posts from his daughter hint at exhaustion, forgetfulness, and sadness. A friend said, "Ken is emotionally exhausted, but retirement scares him more than rehab ever did." Because for Ken, stopping doesn't just mean rest, it means losing himself. In one interview, he said, "I'd rather go out fighting than fade in the dark." He's not just battling opponents. He's fighting time, fear, and the thought that he may not matter without the cage. He still promotes fights under the Valor name, still shows up. But fans see it now. This isn't glory, it's survival. And no one's helping. UFC plays his highlights but offers no support. Bellator walked away. Valor uses his name but gives him no real way out. In MMA, legends are forgotten, not cared for. Fans are torn. Some cheer him on, others plead for him to stop. And Ken walks alone, pushing through pain, chasing a fading identity. At nearly 60, he still smiles for photos, still hints at comebacks, but it feels desperate. He's not chasing fame. He's chasing who he used to be. Experts warn, if he doesn't stop soon, the damage could be permanent. Brain trauma, early dementia, loss of speech or mobility. Still, he insists, "I'm sharp." But we see the truth. This isn't branding anymore. It's a man trying to stay whole. Ken was a hero. Now he's a warning and a reminder of what happens when the fight world doesn't protect its own. He deserves rest, support, dignity, and if his story ends here, it ends unfinished, because no one helped him out of the cage that made him a legend, and may also destroy him.